I may look a little stoned on this interview, but rest assured, I am sober and ready to talk about weed. So let's do it.
Okay. How long have you been sober?
Coming up on 6.5 years.
Oh, that's a long time. I've only been
Yeah, it's been a
sober
minute.
19 days.
Okay. Hey, we all start somewhere, right?
I mean, yeah, I know we all start somewhere. I really wish that I would have started sooner. But I want to ask you some questions about your sobriety. I want to say that well, sobriety. I always mess it
So,
up. I wanted to ask you, when you decided to quit weed, was it because you saw things in your life going downhill, or was it because you were like, I'm just over it? Like, I want to move on. Just like, this isn't doing it for me anymore. Like, it's not the same high.
I would say both of those. The first one, though, definitely the strongest. My life was just in the shitter. And because of all that, I was like, okay, I got to be done with this or else, yeah, I'm going to end up in a really dark place, possibly jail, possibly prison, who knows? And I was like, I have to stop. I have to stop.
I did see in your video that you mentioned that there was a time that you were like driving and you had some of that stuff in your vehicle and you got stopped by the cops and you didn't go to jail, thank God. But I, I think, walk me through, were you high when that happened?
Oh, yeah. At that point, I was pretty much high all the time from sunup to sundown. I was always stoned. And like you said, it just wasn't working anymore. So although I say right now I was stoned, I really didn't feel anything. It was just like I smoked to feel baseline normal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm sure you understand that feeling where you're just like, you don't get high anymore. And so, yeah, I was actually at the Arboretum, which is a nature park, and it was past closing hours. So I was using their Wi-Fi. I was siphoning off some of their free Wi-Fi. So the cops came, they showed up, and they're like, hey, man, you can't be here past this time, and we're going to write you a warning. And I had a grinder, a bowl of weed, like a hemp wick or whatever. And I sprayed some of that Ozium spray real quick to cover up the smell. And it was funny because the cop comes over and he's like, are you drinking alcohol? And I had a bottle of Source Perrier, like sparkling water. So it was funny. I was like, gosh, I got away with the double there. Like, not only did I not have alcohol, so screw you, officer, but I obviously I'm not smoking weed. And he comes back. He hands me the ticket after like 15 minutes because cops take forever to write tickets. And he goes, all right, man, can't be here past this time. Have a good night. Turns away, turns to walk away, and he goes, is that weed? And I'm like, the jig is up. And in that moment, I was dealing. So I like lost my shit. I'm like, oh no, he knows I'm dealing. He's going to call the SWAT cars. And they know, like they just know. And in that moment, like I just kind of saw the trajectory of my life, where it was headed. And by the grace of the universe, that was the last time I smoked.
I've had a lot of those moments, lots of those moments, and I never felt like getting sober. So I think that probably was like a combination of you kind of not being able to get high anymore, right? Is that what happened? Like
Right.
You couldn't really get that high anyway, and then that happened. So then the cop stopping you was just like, oh shit, this isn't
The
working.
reason I finally quit and finally had my like, I'm done moment was because I was selling weed and I had gotten robbed about 10,000 from a guy we knew that had broke into my house, and he took like a couple pounds, a bunch of cash, an ounce of dabs. And it's funny because that wasn't enough to make me quit. I kept dealing, I kept smoking afterwards. I was trying to justify it. I was like, yeah, I was paying the bills a little bit, even though I was losing money by the day. And I just kind of, in that the moment that the cop came and I got busted, I felt this like presence say like, you're out of strikes, man. Like that was, this is the last time you're getting away with it. I've given you 1,000 lives at this point, and you just pushed it to 1,001. The next time you're not just going to get a ticket. Something more serious is going to happen. And thankfully I just said, you know what, I'm going to listen to you this time, and I'm not going to fuck around anymore. And so that was the real reason
It was
that I
connected to
quit.
your faith in a way. In a
To my
way,
what?
to your faith, as far as like your belief, or because you felt like there was somebody talking to you, so it might have been like more of like your spiritual kind of beliefs tapping you on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, this isn't right."
100%. And it's funny because that's the first time I ever believed in spirituality too. So it wasn't like I had a strong faith practice before. It was like in this moment, everything just went whoosh. Like, I was like, oh, shit's real. Something's real.
I want to ask you this question: what was your first time smoking? Like that first time experience? How was it? How did it go?
Yeah, I'd be curious to know yours as well, because for me, it was just magical. I felt happy. I felt connected. Everything was funny. It was like being on laughing gas. And remember, popcorn tasted really good. My food was amazing. And yeah, it was just,
Was it like your friend was the first person to get you a joint, or was it like you going out of your way to get some bud and then rolling up? Like, was it like a cousin? Like, what was it?
It was a cousin. Yep. Family reunion. Yeah.
Okay.
2010.
That was kind of my
it was a
experience too. It was
okay.
a cousin of mine, had mutual friends. Well, he's like at the time was like 18, and I was like, I want to say 12, and
Wow.
we were all hanging out with a range of friends that were all in between the ages of like 15 and 20, and so we're in the Spanish culture, so we're very like it's very common for like young and older just to hang out. And I hit the weed for the first time, and I remember like I saw the blunt, like when they tried to pass it to me the second time, it like slowly like flew into my hand, and I was like, oh my god. And then like I was feeling so tired, and I felt like the sandals were so heavy, so I took off my sandals and walked home barefoot for 10 minutes.
Damn.
I jumped in the shower,
You got high.
to the shower, and passed out.
Okay. With the
Yeah, I
shower
was
on?
super high. I didn't pass out in the shower, but I put on some cold ass water because I was like, I think I might be having a heart attack. And
That's hilarious.
then I went, and I didn't smoke weed again until I want to say 16.
Wait, I didn't smoke after that until a few years later. So, yeah,
It was like
very similar
traumatizing.
stories. It's okay. Traumatized. Yeah,
It was,
that's a
it
good
was
point.
like
Yeah, a little traumatizing. Yeah. What happened on my end is that first I texted my cousin the next day, like, "Hey, can we smoke weed again?" Because I fucking loved it, and it turned out that somehow the messages got like sent to the cloud. So my dad found it. He found out that I smoked, and he like lost his shit. He like started like tracking me, and I eventually like got weed with my buddies to try. And the guy we got it from packed the bowl too tight, so we couldn't actually smoke weed. But we were so cheap that we're like, we can't throw it away. We just spent $20 between the three of us on this. And so we like passed it around to each other's houses. And it just so happened it was my turn to hold on to it. And I put it like in a sock in a drawer at the, and my dad searched the drawer and he found it. And he got so upset. He sent me to work at McDonald's, and it was like my social life really took a hit after that. So I'm like you, it was like almost traumatic. I was like, fuck, I'm not touching this shit.
Well, I need to ask you, how did it feel to get? First of all, you said it like you were sent to like Job Corps. Okay, you were sent to McDonald's. At least you made some money, bro.